We're about to be a minute late.
Time for water.
Thank you. There's no time. We'll start the meeting.
All right, well, Tom is shutting every door in the house here.
Something going on?
Trying to save the energy bill.
He's trying to save
The
energy.
heating bill.
Don't do it.
All right, now he's sitting.
I just did that.
It is now 7:01 p.m., Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, and I call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Cindy, would you please call the roll?
Gonzalez Thomas,
Present.
Arlandu,
Here.
Meadows, Steiger,
Present.
Mathis,
Here.
Kilberg,
Present.
Locke,
Here.
Next, I'd like to invite Mr. R.J. Mathis to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Kim, are there any items to remove or add to the agenda this evening?
No, there is not.
All right, then, we are going to begin by celebrating success. This evening, we celebrate the success of the Red Carpet Reads program at Rotolo Middle School. I would like to welcome to the podium Dr. Diana Wolf, Learning Resource Center Director at RMS, and Dr. Nikki Woodruff, Language Arts Teacher at RMS. Red Carpet Reads is an incentive program that encourages students to read, and we can't wait to hear all about it.
All right, well, good evening. I'm Dr. Diana Wolf. I'm the LRC Director at Rotolo Middle School, and I'm here with my colleague, Dr. Nikki Woodruff, who teaches 8th grade ELA. We are excited to highlight our Red Carpet Reads program, a school-wide reading program that has been running annually at Rotolo Middle School since 2007. Since the original startup, the program, as well as the enthusiasm for reading, has continued to grow. Each school year, a list of highly engaging, diverse books is curated to reach the specific needs and identities of middle school readers. At their leisure, students try to read as many of these books that they can to win prizes for themselves, as well as a whole class. Through grant money and a strong partnership with the Batavia Public Library, we are able to supply multiple copies of each book on the list to do our best to keep everyone involved. Reading is a social activity, and when we can supply a common set of books to our students, they can talk to each other about these stories, pass them along, and use them for group assignments, and of course become more proficient readers. It is with this philosophy that has made the Red Carpet Reads competition a successful springboard for a positive sense of community between students and staff at RMS, while also giving students confidence in reading as they explore and read books together. We spoke with a few RMS students, and here's what Mara had to say. Once you start reading the books, you realize how much you actually do like to read. Melina said, it influenced the kids to go out and try new books, like get out of our comfort zone.
So far this school year, students on Team 8-1 read 561 books. Ultimately, through programs like Red Carpet Reads, the partnership created between the LRC and the classroom exhibits the importance of reading to our students. Dr. Wolf made weekly announcements updating students and staff on the status of progress for each grade level, which created consistent awareness, a buzz of motivation, and authentic discussions based on reading around the school. The Red Carpet Reads books were on display as soon as the students entered the LRC, and the collection provided extremely engaging and relatable titles, as well as seasoned authors such as Jason Reynolds and Alan Gratz. This sparked their curiosity and transformed students into seeing themselves as readers for these specific books. Ergo, they began to discover they liked certain authors, which prompted them to seek out additional titles and keep reading, thus solidifying their reading identities. Once they experienced success and formed this identity, they veered off the list and read more books Just last week, a student came to me after completing Refugee by Alan Gratz, a book not on the red carpet reads, asking for additional titles by him. I slyly supplied a pile of several titles by various authors. He chose the one and only book by Gratz. The excitement behind this book choice can be attributed to his reading identity, which was enhanced by this program. Many ELA teachers are regularly visiting the LRC for book checkout, book hooks, and various activities connected to reading. Independent reading time is built into our classroom schedules and in Bulldog Block. For ELA classes, in addition to in-class reading time, students are responsible for reading 10 to 15 pages a day from a self-selected independent choice book. They are held accountable for the completion of books, but their time is incentivized and rewarded as well with our book chain competitions. Students are allowed to triple dip by getting credit in class for their finished books, as well as competing and earning prizes in the library and classroom for their responses to these books. Despite the numerous students competing in red carpet reads, there were just as many kids in my classes that were reading the books while not necessarily submitting the forms for the prizes. Undeniably, Red Carpet Reads builds and bolsters a community of readers due to the carefully curated titles, highly talented authors, and the buy-in from teachers and staff members throughout the whole school.
In closing, the success of the Red Carpet Reads program is a direct reflection of the collaboration, passion, and dedication of our students, staff, and community. It's not just about the books we read or the prizes that we win. It's about cultivating a love of reading, encouraging students to step outside their comfort zones, and helping them form lasting identities as readers. When students connect with books, authors, and each other, they are not only growing as readers, but as individuals. We are proud of the work that we have done together, and we look forward to continuing to inspire and empower our students to read, learn, and grow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Now we'd like to move on to section 4.1 for the public. I'd like to welcome everyone here to the meeting of the Board of the Education. If anyone wishes to address the board this evening, please see our recording secretary, Cindy Rodriguez, in purple over there. To submit a form for addressing the board, please put your full name and address on the form. In general, the board will not answer questions or engage in dialogue during public comment. This does not mean that we do not take your concerns or comments seriously. The board values active community participation in the district's endeavors and encourages people to engage with the district using the appropriate channels and systems designed with your input in mind. Board members are not involved in the day-to-day operations of the district and cannot engage in district business individually. If you have specific questions or would like to further engage with the district, you may submit your questions using the link on the website, and the appropriate staff member will communicate with you. Our BPS 101 Communications Director, Holly Deachman, will now explain the procedures for public comment and call up the speakers.
Thank you, Vice President Kilberg. Speakers will be called up in order of form submission. We have 3 forms today, so 3 speakers. The first form received is the first person invited to speak. When your name is called, please come to the podium so that you can be heard. All individuals speaking will be limited to 3 minutes. The 3-minute timer will be projected onto the screen and will start once you're settled at the podium. At any time during this meeting, written comments may be submitted to our recording secretary, Cindy Rodriguez. Speakers should conduct themselves with civility and respect towards others. Our first speaker is Laura Heffley.
I am here tonight as a member of this community, a parent, an aunt of children in the district, and on behalf of a friend who cannot be here this evening. Mental health is a crucial aspect of a student's overall well-being and academic success. Tonight, I'm talking about the mental health of our students suffering at the hands of a bully. I have observed incidents of bullying downplayed, dismissed, or not addressed with seriousness and urgency it deserves. Teachers cannot have a productive curriculum and worry about babysitting students who continue to be a problem. These students are disruptive and detrimental to the learning of others. Failure to intervene in a timely and meaningful manner only perpetuates a toxic school culture where victims of bullying feel isolated, powerless, and unsafe. I have spoken to Dr. Brad Newkirk, and I trust he will share with you my email and our resultant conversation. If you have not been informed, there's a student whose life was threatened by another student who is a known bully in the school. My friend and their child were forced to miss work and school for court today to file a restraining order, a step that unfortunately is not just to protect themselves and their family, but it is because they cannot trust that our school is doing enough to protect our children. While I appreciate the school's due diligence and a fair process, if history repeats itself, the student will return after only a short punishment, and our children will not be safe from the very concerning and escalating behavior of this bully. If there was a toxic substance leaking into our school affecting the health and well-being of those at the school, you would immediately act to remedy the problem. However, when the toxic substance is a bully, it is allowed to infiltrate the halls of the school, with students not feeling safe and mental health concerns overflowing. We as parents can only do so much to help our children and the mental health issues we see at home that come from the bullying atmosphere that is allowed in our schools. I pray for full transparency from the school board regarding prompt and meaningful conversations, interventions, and reform for zero-tolerance anti-bullying policies to keep our children safe in our Batavia schools.
Our next speaker is Molly Connolly.
Hi there, my name is Molly Connolly. I live in Batavia. I'm a parent, I'm a business owner, and I'm a former Batavia Park District Commissioner. I'll start by saying I appreciate your service and the opportunity to share my concerns with you. In the interest of privacy, I've written separately with the details of the incident this weekend that prompted me to come before the board. I'm working with the Dean of Students to ensure the students involved are safe. What I'd like to say is that both of my children have dealt with issues of bullying, intimidation, and physical violence for the past 4 years with Batavia Public Schools. Based on my experience, I do not think Batavia has policies and education in place that serve the mental health and wellness needs of our students. Our community is at risk. I will continue to lobby to the school, the board, and the police to implement better policy and training. I'm here to volunteer my time and effort to support policies and training and create a healthy, safe environment for all of our children. I'd like a direct response from the board, and I'll be continuing to follow up via email. Thank you for your time.
And our next speaker is Josette Mobley.
Good evening. When our fathers and mothers were kids, they used to walk up and down the hill to school barefoot in 3 feet of snow in the frigid cold. It is now 2025, and I do not think in the 21st century our children should be subjected to the same 0-degree weather during recess. Are the parents of Batavia aware that recess is still to be held during the cold winter months as long as the temperature is above 0 degrees and per the discretion of the principal? That is what I was told by Kristen Stevens, the principal of AGS, when I questioned her on Wednesday, January 17th, about why my 6-year-old kindergartner was outside for not 1 but 2 recesses in the frigid cold. She told me it was the state regulations for elementary schools to go out as long as it is above 0 degrees and under principal discretion, and that herself and other elementary school principals have a conversation each day to determine if recess should be held outdoors. Not only was this information false, but she made me feel my concerns for my child were not valid in a very condescending way. During a lot of research on the BPS 101 district website, it amazed me that there are no regulations for the outside temperature at which children go outside for recess. When I searched other school districts, the guidelines were clearly stated. Illinois does not have a state regulation for recess temperature, but schools use guidelines to decide when to have recess indoors or outdoors. These guidelines consider the temperature and wind chill. Unfortunately, BPS 101 does not follow these standards. I want to know why, and I think it is time for a change. The Illinois State Board of Education Child Care Weather Watch considers even 20 degrees with 10-degree wind chill to be dangerous. The colder the air temperature, the higher the wind speeds, the colder it will be on your skin if you're outside. Nearby school districts in Illinois have regulations on when to have recess indoors. How come we don't? To list a few, Orland Park below 20, Chicago below 15, Plainfield below 20, Bartlett 35, Warrenville 35. Let's talk about school-aged children for a moment. During this time of year, illness is at its peak. Cold weather can increase the risk of pneumonia by making it easier for viruses and bacteria to spread by weakening the immune system. Let's not forget about frostbite. Children tend to take off their gloves and want to feel the snow, even if you send them to school with the proper gear. Every few weeks, Batavia households are faced with their children having runny nose, cough, fever, diarrhea, respiratory infections, and now hand, foot, mouth, and mouth disease, for which spreads through saliva and mucus. School-aged children cough, sneeze, and invade each other's personal space all day long during the school day. My husband and I have 3 children who grew up in this district. My children, as well as other children in the community, deserve better. Let's do the right thing to protect these precious souls by starting by having regulations on a cutoff temperature. As quoted by Nelson Mandela, children are our greatest treasure. They are our future. Thank you.
That's the end of our public comment.
All right, thank you. Our speakers will move on to our BPS partners. We'll start with BEA Vice President Sarah Barrett.
Good evening. I am here representing Drew Ray, who is home sick along with his whole family, so good luck to all of them. So this is actual Drew's writing. I'm just delivering it. So pretend I'm wearing a hat and I'm a social studies teacher. Happy New Year, board. Yesterday was important for 2 reasons. Number 1, Inauguration Day, and 2, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. First, regarding MLK Day, I'm often reminded of the profound impact that Dr. King had on our country through his leadership in the civil rights movement. I often discuss with my AP government students how the civil rights movement used the principles of nonviolent civil disobedience to advance their cause. Direct action created tension, which led to negotiation, and negotiation resulted in policy changes that advanced civil rights. It is a fascinating blueprint, and countless social movements have followed this blueprint in the footsteps of King. We also discussed in class how Dr. King and the civil rights movement leveraged the judicial system, primarily through the litigation using the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. I share this with you because, number 1, Drew, I'm a social studies teacher, and I can't help myself. Number 2, the civil rights movement was able to utilize equal protection challenges due to the precedent set in 1954 in Brown versus Board of Education. In the majority opinion of Brown, Chief Justice Warren highlighted the importance of education as the very foundation of good citizenship, and that education was a right which must be made available to all on equal terms. That view is something that is fundamental to understanding the importance of public education, especially when you consider that 20 years after Brown versus Board, the Supreme Court ruled on Plyler versus Doe that all children in the United States have an equal right to enroll and participate in public elementary and secondary schools without regard to their or their parents' or guardians' immigration status. The court cited Brown to highlight that education is a fundamental right essential for the preservation of individual freedoms and societal benefits. Unfortunately, this quick history lesson is very timely. In regards to the other big news of yesterday, the presidential inauguration, we know that there will be changes to federal policy over the next 4 years. It is the nature of our system. We know that some of these changes will impact public education. And I think it's safe to say that there will be policies affecting our students, particularly our migrant population. To the Board of Education, know that you have a partner in BEA. There are steps that we can all take together as a district, so let's proactively work to ensure that all of our students, including our most vulnerable populations, are cared for and have equal opportunity to receive the benefits of public education. As Dr. King said, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. In the face of this uncertainty, let us be the light to every student in this district. And on a lighter note, the BEA Trivia Night fundraiser will be held on February 27th at the Batavia Moose. We invite the board and the administration to join us for a fun evening raising money for our scholarship fund for 2 graduating seniors pursuing careers in education or vocational trades. Tom Kim and Tony Inglesi will be happy to know that there will not be karaoke this year. If you know, you know. And we hope all of you can join us. So, from Drew, go Bulldogs, solidarity forever with our brothers and sisters in Vespa. Good night and good luck.
Thank you, Sarah. I hope Mr. Ray is feeling better soon. His family is as well. Our friends from BESPA will not be reporting this evening, so we will, next up are our student ambassadors in the front row here.
All right. Hi, everyone. So we weren't here last week or last month because it was finals, but all was well, just for our update. But instead, we wanted to give like a little 2024 recap. So this last year was a big year for Batavia Public Schools, and so we wanted to go over just some of the general things that were happening. The music department was huge. There was a lot of music engagement, and then we had the Japanese students come and perform and stay with our students, which was super fun and was great for engaging student life. And then additionally, our clubs and activities have been just getting huge and super fun. So pictured, we have the math team on there. We had some people win 7th place in state, which was big. And then we have the theater department in the bottom right corner. So the students are having a lot of fun and getting engaged in what they're passionate in. Additionally, student life has been really big. We had our prom and homecoming, and then we also have a winter dance coming up. So students have been very engaged with that. Our teachers have also been getting involved in making these students more involved in their community. On the bottom left corner, in December, there was a teacher race where they all dressed up as snowmen, the candidates, and they ran around the school. So that was really fun, and it made a lot of people like more engaged with school. And then on top of that, our sports were super successful. So we've seen big moments for our football team, cross country team, basketball team, and more.
And I also want to start to give a big shout out to Miss Wolf because I know I was in her middle school classroom for reading, and I honestly felt like that helped me thrive in my love for reading. And I know I honestly did the Red Carpet Reads program, and it's amazing to hear how it's helping future students. So shout out to that. And then for like sports that are happening at the high school, lots of big things actually. I know Batavia always dominates, so it's never a disappointment presenting on this, but we had recently wrestling. Girls wrestling just had a tournament. They had the tournament, I think, last Friday. And, of course, they dominated. They took 2nd place. And the guys wrestling also recently had their Clint Arliss Invitational. They actually had 8 athletes in the top 6 within their divisions, so that's amazing. And basketball, girls basketball has been doing great. They had a game against Naperville North. We took it home, of course. And then guys basketball has been going on as well. And soccer's starting up, and a big shout out to track and field is starting up. Personally, I'm biased. I'm part of the track and field team, but come out to some of the meets. It's really fun and entertaining. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the student photographers at the different sports events. They've been doing an amazing job with all the photography, videography. Like if you go to their Instagram pages, they have like different like edits of the like basketball teams and all the different sports teams. It's super cool to watch the student spirit life come to, be so popular. So big shout out to that.
And then first off, I wanted to talk about an amazing event that happened last week at Amnesty Club called Write a Letter, Save a Life. I personally went to this event, and it was honestly life-changing. For this event, we wrote letters to fight for basic human rights that was happening around the world. And I really liked this event because it was really meaningful, and it showed me how much injustice there are around the world, and I got to do this with a lot of my friends, and it was really fun. And then we also had freshman nights where we welcomed a lot of freshmen and their parents to come and see all the different activities and clubs that we present at BHS. There were all different kinds, from sports, academics, creative, and even Swifty Club. So I think there's really everything for everyone. And to top it off, even if you didn't find something there was also much more stuff you could also find that wasn't represented that night. So yeah, a lot of stuff. We also have an exciting event, the Winter Dance, that's coming in February 8th. I think the theme is a mixture of turnabout and Valentine's. It's a really exciting way to celebrate the second semester, and I think a lot of students are really looking forward to it. So that's really nice. And then I went to celebrate the mock trial club that started off today. I know they did really good last year and the year previous to that, so we're really excited to see their achievement this year as well. And then we also have an exciting play coming up called The Odd Couple. I think it's a play about, it's a comedy play about two opposite roommates, and it's coming up, and I think the tickets are out now, so go check that out, because honestly, anything that BHS students do is amazing. So, yeah.
Okay, and then last, we got a little bit of RMS insights this month. So next month, actually, they are putting on the production of Beauty and the Beast, which is supposed to be really good. I don't know. I'm sure it's amazing because, again, BHS is awesome. So obviously Chromatics is an a cappella group at the high school, but this year we have Vocal Gold, which is starting up at the middle school as their little a cappella group to kind of get them ready to come into Chromatics. There's a jazz band concert with the entire grades going on right now, actually, at the BFAC. They could probably tell you about it better, but Battle of the Books, and there's a book fair coming up. Girls basketball tryouts happened, I think, this past week, and the boys basketball ended in December. Oh, the entire music program went to main event last week, so, they had a lot of fun with that. MAPS testing was last week, and girls flag football is just now starting up. So, that's RMS.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's all we got.
That's a lot. Thank you. There's so many events we need 4 speakers to get through all of them. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to board liaison committee reports. So I guess we'll start. Sue, you have nothing to report? Okay.
Stipend committee, I don't see Steve here. I don't believe we met. I'm sure we didn't meet. And then our resource responsibility committee, we did meet. We just went over the budget calendar and an operations survey that I think the whole staff and administration and review those results. I'm not sure if that was planned to be discussed here or that was more internal, those results.
Internal, yeah.
Yeah, so, but that's about it.
All right, thank you.
So we had a plaque meeting that was last Thursday, and that we talked about some AI learning. Gonna go into some drafting policy and incorporating AI, and it's not gonna be a standalone. We'll have a class size and composition committee, the before BEA for admin. Along with that, they went over BPSU items, kind of did a rough draft of BPSU's attendance policy and so forth like that. They're waiting on some litigation and some proper wording to do to it in order to get into that. After that was really just about it.
All right.
And then we didn't have a policy meeting in January.
We did not. We're going to have one in February.
February.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Any questions for Raquel?
When you say BPSU attendance policy, you mean
So I think there's,
for the attendance to BPSU?
yes.
Okay.
So I don't think now there's one, and they're trying to get it to maybe so people don't miss more than 3 sessions.
Okay.
And then
Sure, to just make sure.
but they're
you
trying
show
to
up.
also, if somebody has FMLA, they wanna make sure they can include them and it's the regulations and so forth.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Danielle?
I did have CAC and equity, but I didn't make it to either, so if I could lean on Brad and Tom, whichever wants to go first.
You good if I go?
Yeah, please.
All right. I'll start with Equity Committee. The Equity Committee completed a data walkthrough of our new Panorama social emotional screening data sets and tool that we use now in the district.
We were reflecting on strengths and weaknesses in the area of student belonging and discussed implications for district's policies and structures. Committee also prepared to review district over-identification data for our February committee meeting. This will be the first time our equity committee is joining another committee, standing committee of the district, and we're bringing more people together to review things that are happening under the district's roof. And both data points and the meeting itself will serve as references for advancing various aspects of our equity work within the district. And one of the other things that we are looking to do is use the equity committee's kind of human power on the committee and begin at some point reaching out to different stakeholder groups and holding meetings in various community centers around the BPS communities. Any questions regarding that?
Can you elaborate on that last point a little bit more?
So we want to reach out to stakeholders that might be able to give us specific feedback as to how we can help engage them more into the school culture and climate, and what are some things that we can look to do to implement specific strategies. Mm-hmm.
So with the Curriculum Assessment Advisory Council, we met. A bulk of our discussions for the meeting were around our different subject area leadership team, or SALT committees, which are groups of teachers and administrators from throughout the district at different levels that are doing curriculum work throughout the course of this year. We have a math SALT team, which is basically like grades 5 through grade 9. And pending Mr. Kim's approval, we might be bringing to the board some different changes, especially impacting RMS mathematics. It was mostly RMS teachers, and they're really excited about some of the work that they've been doing. So we'll move that forward and get ready for those changes next year. We have a really big English language arts SALT team that's been looking at the Illinois Comprehensive Literacy Plan, which is, there's always kind of reading debates out there, and right now it's the science of reading and balanced literacy is kind of pitted against one another. So the state came up with a plan for our state, and it really is a combination of the two. It's not one side or another. So in looking at that and what we're currently doing, we did a gap analysis, and we know we'll be looking at some different resources to kind of fill some of those gaps. Our SALT science team is more active this year, which is really good. I'm happy for the participation. We're doing a lot of learning together. Actually, tomorrow we're attending an ASCD session on the new science standards. They're not that new, but they're actually really complex science standards to really do that. So we're attending as a group tomorrow in Naperville to learn more about that with John Spencer, who's actually done some work with us. He's from downstate a little bit and has a really great perspective on how to tackle some of this really difficult work. And then we did an elementary social studies pilot update about the different work that we're doing at our grades 1 through 5 level, looking at some social studies resources. So a lot of SALT work happened at our meeting.
All right, I think that's it. So next we'll move on to section 5, our consent agenda. According to board policy, we designate a portion of the agenda as a consent agenda for those items that usually do not require extensive discussion before board action. These items generally are routine, recurring, and can be grouped together for efficiency. Brad, would you walk us through it?
Sure. So 5.1 is the approval of the December 17, 2024 meeting minutes. 5.2 is the closed session minutes for that same meeting. 5.3 is the approval of our January 6th special board meeting. 5.4 is the personnel report. I do want to recognize Kara Schuster. She's currently at the middle school. She's a long time. She's worked at our high school. When I first started in this job, she was a great service. She was our employee who worked at Mooseheart. She has a real heart for kids, and I want to recognize that she put in for her retirement. 5.5 is our normal payroll and bills. 5.6 is the destruction of the closed session recordings as time has elapsed on those. 5.7 is the acceptance of the donations. Thanks to Ken Murakami for donating $1,000 for the Japanese exchange with the music program. And big thanks to the Batavia Wrestling Club for their donation as well. 5.8 is the approval of the consent agenda.
All right, at this time, does the board have any questions or comments?
I have a quick question. So with the staff hiring, I see that we hired a district registered nurse. Is that one that we, that we outsourced for? Was that, or is that just, was that different? For the registered nurses? Did we, were we like, I know we had a district one, like each, the school's one, and then there's the district one, right?
Yeah, so each school has an RN placed at it. I don't know about the answer to your question, so I'm gonna talk around it, I think.
Oh.
There's an RN at each building, and then we have 2 district nurses, so they hold both a teaching license
Right.
and the nursing license. And they do a lot of our work, coordination of nursing services, but they also do like IEP services and health reports through that.
Last year, did we outsource that one though? I wanna say I thought we outsourced one of them.
I don't remember.
For a short time, we did,
Okay.
and then if my recollection serves, we also did for the first term of this year, and then one of the staff member, I think,
We're
earned
gonna
a degree.
replace that.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking. I thought like we did. I thought we outsourced one, and
Yeah.
so we actually now have a replacement. Okay.
That's my recollection, but these are the kinds of things that I don't pay
I wish
close
Steve was
attention
here
to.
to
This
answer
is,
your
this is definitely a Steve question.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. I was just curious if we actually, were just on that.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, then I will entertain a motion to approve all items in the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Kel? Second. RJ, second. Cindy, will you please lead us in a roll call vote?
Londu,
Yes.
Gonzalez Thomas,
Yes.
Locke,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Mathis,
Yes.
Sliger,
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to section 6 of the agenda. We'll start with item 6.1, FOIA requests. Tom?
Yes, there were 3 requests since the last board meeting, and as you can see on the report, all 3 were granted.
All right, any questions on that? We'll then move on to item 6.2, the treasurer's reports. Dr. Inglese?
Nothing out of the ordinary to report with our treasurer's report.
Any questions from anyone? All right. Then we'll move on to item 6.3, an update on operational departments and functions. Mr. Kim?
Yes, so board, at last month's meeting, we spent a lot of time together talking about various status of our operations, curricularly, social emotionally. At that time, we agreed we would bring forward other specific areas of our district's operations for an update for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Tony so that he can introduce his teams that will present to you tonight.
Thank you. Yes, we have a few departments and what I would call a few key functions that are paired with those departments that we're going to give you presentations on. Leaders are Josh Bulak, Dave Thurlby, and Mark Anderson, and they are going to walk us through the respective areas. And we elected Josh to go first.
All right.
All right, so all things business office to start. Let's see if the clicker works. It does. All right, so it's very important to first understand the term business office. Tech's easy. We all know what technology is. Facilities is pretty straightforward. Business office sometimes has little add-ons thrown in. So you'll see that how we support BPS, there's the expected, the payroll, the accounts payable. But there's a couple things that we highlight in here, like food service, our employee benefits and enrollment, that don't always fall under every business office, but fall under the business office here. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to go through 4 major areas that we're looking to improve on. And what you'll notice is on these, some of the years are a little wonky because the business office likes to go forward in time. So a lot of these goals are talking about next year. Some are still talking about this year, but it really gives us that chance to work in the now and also for the future. So we're going to look at payment processing, food service, benefits, and enrollment. And the first one, payment processing, I don't want to talk a lot about because we talked about it last month. But it's very important that you guys know the work that's going into this. And we're going to this new payment system, the My School Bucks system. And we've already had 2 implementation meetings, one with our building administrative assistants, and then one with my department and Dave's department, technology, to work on those integrations. So we're already moving ahead to get this process started. Just as a quick reminder, one of the reasons that we're doing this is we want to help schools not focus on money collection. Teachers need to focus on teaching, not getting all those little IOUs and turning them into a big cash box like that. So we're gonna take that $1.5 million that's been turned in envelopes and make it easier for parents to pay and to not worry about that little check going home with a little kid and then it's gotta go to school. We're gonna streamline that process. So that is underway. In the current year, we're really focused on food service. So if you remember back in, I believe it was May, we approved Organic Life as our new food service provider. And one of the things that I'm committed to with our new food service provider is holding them accountable. I spend more time in the lunchroom than I ever thought I would in this role. Not as much as I did at RMS when I was in the lunchroom every day, but I actually eat the food more now in this role than I did as an assistant principal. So K-8 wise, we're doing really, really well. We've got a 12% increase in participation. That equates to about 90 meals a day at our K-8. I'd like to see this at 20%. We'll see how the next semester pans out. But I think the most important thing that we're doing this year is we're getting student voice to learn. Yes,
Is it okay to ask,
of course it is.
why do we want it up? I mean,
Well, I think this is a good goal in that we want it up because then we're providing a better product. Now, this is where it's a little different than Brad's department, right? If it stays at 12% and doesn't move to 20%, that's okay. But if you're providing a better product, more kids will take advantage of the service. That's the hypothesis.
but if I'm sending a lunch with my kid every day.
That's your choice.
That's
That's great.
So I mean, it's not to any benefit or detriment.
Correct.
That's all I
Correct.
wanted to try and.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is meals mean breakfast and lunch, or just strictly?
Very good question. This is just lunch.
Okay. And then the second thing is I see JBN is just a little, is the most, is that right? Is JBN the most?
Actually, the biggest growth is at Rotolo.
Well, I'm sorry, out of the elementaries. Is
It's
JBN the
right
most?
there with Grace McWayne. But yeah, they're all pretty,
We're talking percentage.
yeah.
You mean,
Yeah, like, the most, like, who's, I guess out of the schools, JBN's bought the most.
Yes, JBN also has the largest population.
And that's what I was
so-
gonna ask, if they have the
Correct.
largest population.
Yeah.
So I
But-
guess it's ratio-wise, they're all about the same.
Yeah, and I think that's what's nice to look at this, just at a big picture level. Every single school, the red bar is a little higher than the blue bar. So that's a good thing.
And so everyone likes organic life?
Well, I don't want to
I mean,
say
not
everyone.
everybody, but-
No, that's, you, look, it's like you led right into this. So, back in May, I got to hang out with a bunch of kids and go to different, schools and test food. So I met with those same kids, those same 12 kids. And I said, how do you like the food? Well, here's the results. So there's one student who does not like the food. And that is that student's choice. And he gave me a lot of good examples as to why, and we're gonna work on that. But everyone else is, it's going okay, it's going good. Asked them some other questions, but I also met with another group. And I said, hey, how can we improve this? And that's the question I asked these guys too. And this is what they came up with at the different levels. So at the K-5 level, one was as simple as, we want reusable lunch trays. It sounds very reasonable. So when school started back in the second semester, there were reusable lunch trays for them. It's really nice to be able to get the kids what they want. And then I'm also working with Organic Life to get more cultural options into the lunch menu. And that was a theme at all 3 levels. At Rotolo, Thursdays are stir-fry day. We have a made-to-order stir-fry station now that we do with the kids, and it is a blast. And it's actually gotten more adults to order food. which that's saying something. The high school was very, very focused on protein, and I felt like they came right from the weight room to my focus group. So we're gonna look to get better breakfast options. Again, they want high protein after their morning workouts. And another thing that was really important, and we ordered a new panini press, a bigger one, so the lines could move faster. But again, we only get that information from students. So it was great to sit down with them and talk about their experience. All right,
I have a question.
go for it.
And this might not be the right framework, but like, what I'm really concerned about is that kids that are hungry are getting food. So, I mean, either they're bringing it or they're accessing meal. So people, I know we have access for people that maybe you can't afford a lunch. I just want to make sure, do we know like our penetration of like percentage of kids that are qualified that are taking advantage
That
of
qualify or
That-
they're taking
it?
advantage?
That taking advantage of it.
Off the top of my head, I don't know the advantage.
Yeah.
I can find that out for you.
I'd be interested.
Sure. But one of the great things that we have to review with all the workers is no matter if a kid is on some sort of assistance or they're paid or they don't have any money in their account, we give them a meal. So no student is ever turned away from a meal. Now, if they want ice cream and they don't have money on their account, that's a different conversation. But every student gets breakfast and lunch if they need it.
That's what I wanted to hear, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Before we move on to benefits, any more food service questions? All right, let's talk about benefits. This is this great crossover between a budgetary item, hence the business office part of it, and we want to make sure that our employees are getting quality access to health care and retirement pieces, because if they're not worried about those aspects, they're able to focus more on what's important, which is instructing students. So our employee benefits are broken into two committees. So these committees have representation from all different stakeholder employee groups in the district, and we make decisions on medical, vision, dental, and we're also doing more with 403B, 457 retirement pieces. Want to spend more time on the actual insurance and benefits part today? So we offer two plans in Batavia. We've got a PPO and we have a high deductible plan. And what this is showing you is the maximum amount of money that an employee pays if they're single or if they're on a family plan. So you can see that, and I'll show you the next example in a second, but for all of them, our maximum out-of-pocket will be lower than the group of the Midwest or all governmental districts. So our employees are getting quality benefits and on average paying less than, those groupings. Here's the high deductible plan, which is what most of our employees are on. So you can see here, you've got what comes out of the darker ones, what comes out of payroll, and then the blue, that is the deductible, and then once you meet that deductible, it's a high deductible plan, so everything is then covered. So again, it's a lot less than those other groups. On the contrast, this is our 5-year spend. So this is showing like thousands of dollars spent per employee for medical. So what you'll see is we're the blue line, and there's this big drop off in 2020. And that's when we implemented the high deductible plan. So we were spending less money per employee than we were previously. It actually brought us down to that national average, but over the last couple years, we've been creeping up, and now our spend is starting to become back to where it used to be, and significantly more than the national average. So our employees are spending less, but their costs are more. So just wanted to kind of point that out to the board, because this is something that we're talking about in the insurance committee, because you can't have the contributions be very, very low, but the spend be very, very high. You have to find that balance point. Any questions on that one? You miss insurance committee.
I was on that
I
insurance
know
committee
you
for
do.
2 years. I would just be curious what the headwinds are you're working with, because it's always a fight to control, to
It
provide the
is.
best benefits, but also control costs.
Mhm.
And I was just wondering what the topics that you're discussing on a way to, the levers you're talking about.
Well, actually, at the last committee meeting, our insurance broker presented the committee with lots of levers, lots of them, and said, think about it. And then we're gonna meet in February and then drill down and get to more specific ones. So there was a lot of discussions about ways to save money, but I don't know which avenue the committee is gonna decide to go on. But one thing that we started this year, and we're gonna continue doing, is focusing on consumer spending of healthcare. So when you're on a high deductible plan, it's important to be an informed consumer. Just like when we all go to the grocery store and we want to get the best price for eggs, it's important to do the same thing with medical insurance. So we've implemented a newsletter to try to get more information out to all the employees about how to access benefits in a good, responsible, fiscally way, while also getting your quality health care. We're working to align, our coverage for medical and for RX with industry standards to make sure we're, not offering something that's way out of line with the industry norms. And then we implemented a new benefits management system, which was very successful with open enrollment, so people can see exactly what they're signing up for and know how that coverage affects their family. All right, my last area is about enrollment and residency. So really, there's two things here. Enrollment is when a student, joins us. They're coming on board. They have to prove residency first. So there's a lot of layers to this. But basically, what we want to do is we want to ensure that we're servicing the kids that we're supposed to be servicing here at BPS. So every spring, we look at all the data that we get. And we get data from a couple different ways. The one here that needs the most explanation is this CLEAR score. What we do is we run transitional grades. So 5th to 6th, 8th to 9th, pre-K to K. We run them through a database, and it says the likelihood that Josh Bulak lives at the residence he said is 95%. Great. The likelihood that Mark Anderson lives at his residency, 56%. Okay, we need to reach out to Mr. Anderson and actually get some information from him. So that's where that score comes from. We've been doing that with those transitional grades. It's something that I'm looking at, is this something that's worth doing for all grades on an annual basis? I don't have enough data to determine that yet. So that's something that I'll be looking at next couple of years. This is how those cases broke down. So we had 20 of the 50 potential residency questions, they were unenrolled. That's a big savings. That's, $358,000. Now, could all 20 of those families unenrolled on their own? Of course they could have. But, I don't know, sometimes it's good to just check and make sure.
I have a question. real
Yep,
quick.
go for it.
So 20 of the 50, you said the family, so you don't know if like they had a child in 3rd grade and then one, or like in the transitional, right? Like, 'cause you only did like,
Well, this is a multifaceted, so if you look at the low CLEAR score, that's the transitional ones. You'll get staff reported or mail returned. There's a lot of different, indicators for when we ask for paperwork.
oh, the 50 student residency is everything.
Correct.
Okay, so then of the 20 of the 50, do we know if they had multiple kids in the district?
Some of them did. I
Okay.
could figure that out if you want me
No,
to.
I was just curious if it was all like just 20 individual.
No, they're
students,
family.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then things we're looking to improve for next year. I alluded to reviewing the CLEAR process. This will be the 3rd year that I'm in charge of it, so that'll be enough data to determine if it's worth expanding. One of the biggest things, and Holly helped with this, was We had 250 families in September who had not verified their contact information. This is alarming because if we need to get a hold of a parent, we want to know that the information that we have is accurate in the system. So we've whittled that down to 121 students. So Holly has been a great help with that, sending out communications. We're working with the buildings to get that down to, everyone, checking off that this is their address or their contact information. One of the things to note is 60% of the cases left are at BHS. Just find that kind of interesting. So we're also going to be working with the buildings to see how we can make that process a lot faster for next school year. So making sure we're asking the right questions, getting the right information. And a lot of that goes to improving communications with the buildings, making sure that they're getting the information that we need, making sure that we're, clearly articulating that to them to make this process a little better for families. Questions?
So what happens if they don't complete registration this year?
Well, they're basically just, I'll use the Mark Anderson example. It's just him saying that he lives at the address that we have all the paperwork for. So right now, nothing. We've never done anything with that. That's something that we have to talk about is at what point do we ask them to reestablish residency?
So there's 121 students that we don't know that they,
Their parents have not verified that that is their address. We have on record that that is their address when they enrolled, but they haven't checked the box saying, yes, that is my address, again, this year.
We asked them to do it every year.
right, I did it, you did it, you do it.
The students are still coming to school, just they haven't gone through
But
that.
we don't know that they necessarily live in the district, right?
Those
Or
students
these,
that,
or are we saying
no, we
these are
just,
not ones we're questioning the residents?
we're not
No,
questioning the rest.
No, we're not questioning
Okay.
residency.
Okay,
We're reaching out to the parents because they haven't done
all they have to do is check a box.
check a box. Yes.
Any other questions for Josh?
All right, well,
All
thank
right,
you.
Thank you.
All right, Mark, I believe you're up next.
Yes,
Yep.
Josh being Mark's.
Are we facilities or transportation?
Looks like we're starting with facilities first, because that's what came up on the screen.
No.
But we're gonna start with facilities first. So facilities, the first slide here is just the department, just kinda, I'm not gonna read everybody in the department, but just some of the things we do, and, being in the winter season, we do take care of all of the grounds as far as snow plowing, shoveling, snow blowing, things like that. And as far as checking to make sure the buildings are, suitable for students to walk in and they were warm. And yeah, that wasn't just this morning, but that was a whole weekend process. So, all of these individuals right here have been walking the buildings a lot in the last 2 days. Turned to summertime. We take care of all the grounds as far as mowing all the grounds, trimming trees, bushes, things like that. That's all in this department, so we don't contract anything out. There are a few things that we do as far as building wise go, things as far as that are very unique skill sets, we will. Each building, as you can see, every building has a custodian, so there's always a maintenance person at that building during the day with students in the building. Some of the metrics that I look at and the department really looks at. The first one is, well, there's a work order system. So if something needs to be fixed or done in classrooms around the building, we look at just what does that look like as far as on time goes. Other things, how many work orders per maintenance worker, some square footage. And the last two I'll get into a little bit more, but just as kind of overview of what my team looks at. First one about on-time work orders. If you look at this graph, there was names on the bottom of the top graph. I took those off, but this is the individuals in the facilities department. This is where their percentages as far as There's a date on that work order of when it should be done, and as you can see on the far left, obviously that's where we want to be. I get the ones on the far right and move them towards that, 90%, 100% obviously would be really good. But overall, you can see the one on the bottom is currently, so this is through the end of December, we are at 88% of on-time work orders. Some other metrics is through December, again, this is just basically the halfway point of the year. So each average worker is 56 work orders in a month. So, if it's a custodian at AGS, they're about 56 a month. Now, that person could be more, could be less, depending, but on average, it's 56 work orders. Just some data points. I'll stop because I saw a hand.
I know what a work order is, but give me an example.
So an example could be anything from the copy room is out of paper, to my heating is not working in my room, to
Light bulbs or
to
anything?
light bulbs,
Okay.
to
So
changing
just
a ballast.
Anything?
Yep,
Okay.
any type of work order. So some could be 10 minutes, some could be over an hour.
Who determines do you determine how long it should take to
As far as the individual work order,
put paper in the copy machine or,
well,
do you know what I mean?
Like, what's the criteria for it?
Yeah.
so basically criteria is they log all their time.
Is there some industry standard or, yeah, I'm just trying
As
to.
far as paper on a copy machine, I don't know
I
that.
don't know,
one.
I'm just trying to determine how this is figured.
Well, this one right here, as far
First
as how
time
many
I've seen-
work orders there are, it's just the work order. So it's 56 total work orders. It could be.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering about the time to do it.
Yeah, so basically in the time is, they're in like high, medium, and low. So that goes into the time too, is
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense. I mean,
some things like,
I just-
if you don't have heat in the room, that's a high work order. It's an emergency, you have to get there.
No, I'm just curious.
Yep.
I'm not trying to be difficult. I just.
No. The others down here, square foot per custodian, it just kind of shows you really all the buildings we serve, so it's just shy of 1 million square feet. And the breakdown, those are just custodian, those aren't all maintenance workers. Some goals, so this kind of relates to where we're at with the metrics. So earlier you saw was 88%. By the end of this year, I'd like to get to 95% on time. And then, as far as some backlog maintenance, you know what? Is there a way you can click on that one? The one at the very bottom, so I can explain this a little bit. So in 2020, this is where the data was from when we did the facility master's plan, the architect did. So if you can scroll down to the bottom, please, Holly. Yeah, that'd be the 5th page. One more. Right here. So this is a breakdown of all of the buildings and basically the work that needs to be done at those buildings. Some of you might have saw this. Sue, I'm sure you saw this. But if you can look over to the far right, that's an index score. So the lower the index, the less work that needs to be done at those buildings. So when I'm talking about a goal, it's those percentage on the right is to lower that percentage. So overall, it's a 28%. We want to continue to lower that percentage. But each year you go along, there's more work to get done. So it's one of those things is you want to try to take one step. So you always want to be ahead of that. And right now, there is a backlog. So we need to, and that's part of the Warm, Safe, Dry plan. Okay, thanks, Holly. So that goal is to reduce that by 5%. Now, the major factor in that is the work that we're going to be doing at HC Storm this summer. So that will help that percentage. The other one is sport indoor air quality initiatives. Basically really looking at temperatures in classrooms and airflow. Those are the two things that we'll focus on. And then the last one is streamline facility operations. So tech, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, last year, correct? About a year ago, right? They went over to Incident IQ for their help desk. We're basically on two different, well, we call them work orders, they call them tickets, but we're on two different, we're gonna have that be one. So as a staff member, they have to click one, all they have to do different is click either tech for technology or facilities for facilities. So it'll be one platform instead of two different ones. Some of these projects you know about because I've already talked about them through the capital projects plan that I presented. And the design and bids for H2 Storm, you've already approved those. One that you haven't seen are updating the evacuation shelter and safety placards in each classroom. So every classroom has to have an exit route. Most classrooms right now will have some different information. The goal here is to put all information into one spot, one location in every single room throughout the district. And I found out those are done from the printer, so now it's the installation piece.
Is that a state law or federal?
Well,
law
it's a
or-
law that you have to post that, but
But-
you don't have to do it exactly
Exactly,
how
okay.
we're doing it. But I think it'll be much easier for everybody to have it in one spot, and it's gonna look the same if you're at the high school compared to Augustin. Some other things, the high school and RMS learning centers are gonna get a nice update. And so is the flooring at Gustafson and JB Nelson. Not all the flooring, just hallways, cafeteria, and gymnasium. And then obviously continue to work the warm, safe, dry plan. Currently working on, and I think I talked about this when I was talking capital projects, but you know, what's next after the warm, safe, dry plan? So that comes into the facility master's plan. And then I also mentioned the indoor air quality. Some challenging opportunities. Obviously, you know, getting towards those capital improvements instead of just doing capital maintenance. Construction schedule is always very difficult when you're in a school system because really you have 8 weeks. You might have a little bit over winter break and spring break, but for the majority, you have 8 weeks to do this work. Just, you know, recruitment and retention of skilled facility maintenance, in the maintenance world. There's less and less younger coming out of high school with that have trade. And we're starting to see that more and more. And then just really maintaining the systems and the buildings that are aging. But there's also some success. I think one of the significant ones is the partnership with the GSF, our nighttime cleaning service. We have really seen a vast improvement in that, and so that has been a great success. Appointment of a new HVAC engineer and also facility manager, that's really helped. It's really helped this past weekend, I can tell you that. And then just continuing that progress for warm, safe, dry. That's facility, so before I move on, other facility questions?
Mark, could you talk about that facility manager role and how that was an asset? Because that's a new role, right?
Well, we had a facility manager, so that facility manager, promoted to assistant director. So then we brought in another facility, and that person really, concentrates a lot on the, K-8 buildings. So overseeing those buildings, making sure operations are getting done inside those buildings. He's in those buildings, a lot. He has, I was lucky because his knowledge is vast, so he has a knowledge of all the trades, and managing, people as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, Holly, switch over to transportation. So this next slide's gonna look much different than the facility slide. Yes, there's only 2 people under there. But you have to remember, we contract out our busing service. So day-to-day coordination is really with the transportation coordinator, and that's Dee. I really oversee that. I oversee all of the operations as far as transportation goes. A few things with transportation. This is what we have. We have 193 routes, 55 buses, and 55 drivers. Now, this is mainly the Illinois Central piece. There are some others that we use for specific routes, but this is the majority. Currently, we're at a 98% on-time rate. There's a couple of ways we look at that. One, using GPS, and another one that all buildings have access to is if a bus is showing up late or they're getting a parent phone call because, you know, hey, it's supposed to be my stop, it's not at my stop. Each building can go onto a spreadsheet and then record that information. And so that way we can see more specifics, and then we can pull up the GPS and see what's going on. There's 54% of our students bused, and as of the end of December, we're just shy of 200,000 miles traveled. That's only to and from school. I didn't go into charters at that point. So charters is even more than that. The mileage is a little more difficult to grab. Now, there has been 6 total accidents so far this year. Now, what that accidents are is, I can tell you this, is I've only had to go to 1. So when I have to go is, it actually happens when the police are called and things like that. So, and that was, somebody let off the brake and rolled into the back of the bus. But it was an accident, you have to report it, you have to go through all that. Other these are minor. One of them was a bus, you know, going too far in another bus with no kids on board. One was clipping a mirror, so those. So no major accidents, no injuries, nothing like that.
Would you say that's average?
It's pretty typical, yeah.
Typical?
Yeah.
I would say.
Few goals here, that 98%, would love to get it up to 99%, obviously, we'd love to get it up to 100%. Route efficiency, I know this looks kind of odd, why I would put decrease the number of routes. Well, to be most efficient, you have less routes, so less stops and things like that. Obviously, you know, we need the amount of stops that are safe for kids to get to and things like that, but to get the most efficient in routes, you actually want a fewer number of routes. Now, there's a lot of factors that go in there. Obviously, enrollment, where students live and compared to the schools. Most of our schools are neighborhood schools, but there are still those spots that they do need to get bused. The last one is it's a pretty lofty goal, but I would like 1 accident per 100,000. So we'll more than likely get over 300,000 miles in a year. It'll be more than that. So really, we're past that already. But again, striving towards that. This isn't just this year, but you know, kind of that you talk about industry standard. That's really kind of an industry standard right there. Just some things that we're continually working on here. I would say the big one right here is a student activity bus implementation. That's been going now in the 2nd year at Rotolo and the 1st year at the high school. Again, more and more students, you know, depending on the season, kind of depends on how many kids are taking advantage of that. But we're seeing pretty consistent numbers at Rotolo. Actually, the most at Rotolo is the springtime.
Do we have numbers on that yet? Or?
We do. We don't really, at this point, the high school, we don't, because we're just through 2 seasons yet. But like I said, we have, during the springtime, so we do an east side and a west side route at the middle school. The west side, I just looked from the spring, we were at between, depending on the day, between 35 and 45 students taking advantage of that. East side's a little less because it's at Rotolo, but.
Yeah.
Again, you know, costs will continue to go up for transportation service, so that's always a challenge for us. Enrollment's changing to try and do that. Recruitment of drivers is definitely getting better. This year, we're where we should be. The past years, we were down a lot of drivers, but we're at right where we should be for that. The other one is the complexity of and it's serving students that experience homelessness, because that can change, honestly, sometimes on a daily basis, is trying to figure out exactly and working with other districts and making sure those students are getting to where they need to be.
Sorry. Why would you have to work with other districts on that?
Because they could be living in another district.
But still at our school and then?
Correct. Yep.
You would, okay.
So it could be something that happened in the middle of a year, or, you know, I mean, factors depend. It could happen unfortunately tomorrow, and then you're trying to figure out where they're at, but you're working, so if they're in a different district, you're also working with that district because they have more buses in the area or more transportation to even get them to here. So we do split that responsibility. Success, having Illinois Central for both regular and special education. And the other one is that improved retention of the number of drivers, especially on our special education routes. Because a lot of those drivers are staying with those students for, I mean, some all the way through. I mean, literally from grade school to middle school to high school. And they know, you know, exactly what their needs are and, you know, what time they need to be there and things like that. So, and they're requested by parents all the time. I mean, every year we get a list of emails and then we request that from Illinois Central. And then we talked earlier about the student activity bus. Questions on transportation?
Do you have any plans, or do you do it already, have any type of feedback from the bus drivers, students, parents? On their
As far as
overall
survey
experience?
data at this
Yeah.
point, no, it's mainly really, well, we did do a survey about transportation to the staff recently, but most of the parent feedback is in the form of really emails and phone calls and requesting those drivers.
I have a question mark. Really, it's just more kind of explaining it, but could you explain for the board and the people in attendance, you know, our relationship with Illinois Central, as far as how that relationship works?
Yeah, we've had a long relationship with Illinois Central, really in special ed, since when we go out to bid, we do a special ed contract and a regular education contract. So we've had, I mean, it's been a number of years with Illinois Central. The one thing that I put in here is a little bit of a, kind of a growth opportunity for us is the communication piece. You're always trying to work on communication and, you know, because really, if you can let the parents know before the students let their parents know, it's always better for everybody. And so just letting them know that if it's gonna be 15 minutes late, don't say 10 minutes and come back and say 5, just tell us 15 minutes. So those type of pieces. We've started a number of things, but just as simple as a text group between the dispatch, myself, and my transportation coordinator, so that way it's kind of a quick response. Because parents sometimes are trying to call Illinois Central, trying to figure out whatever it is, and then we can't get through. So just a simple text, that's helped a lot. And they're doing things on their end. They've just hired another dispatcher just to kind of help with that too. And they're trying to streamline a lot of their process with GPS. They're rolling out the parent portal piece of that, so then parents can see, which not all, but most parents know exactly where their kids are anyways. But this is just another piece that'll help. So we've been testing that out as well and just trying to get everything there. And the other piece that's helped with Illinois Central is they're in district, they're right off, you know, well, actually Redant and Wilson Street. I would say, what has that been, probably 2 contracts ago, they were north of 64 in St. Charles. That made it a little more difficult. It's much easier for them being in town.
So just so people know, we contract this service out. It's not,
Yep.
Batavia doesn't own
We
buses.
don't have our own buses.
Nope.
We don't have our own buses. And then my other question would be, I would just be curious, in the creation of these goals, I would think there'd have to be collaboration, like there has to be buy-in from their part. So they've said, yeah, these are reasonable goals. that
Yeah,
we could-
I've talked to them about that, especially really the one is route efficiency, that's a kind of a standard goal. Every year you're looking at getting those routes better. But it's really the on-time one, because it's very difficult, if any of you don't know this, with one bridge in the town. I'm sure you've heard it a lot, but it is difficult, especially in the transportation world. And people say, oh, use Fabian, use 56. It's not that easy when you're, trying to get kids from point A to point B. So we're looking at, especially the furthest west school in Grace McGrain, that's the most difficult because really most of those buses are coming from Rotolo. So we're looking to add, maybe, not add a bus, but reconfigure out how the routes are. So then, because it's very difficult to take kids from Rotolo, get them dropped off, and get to Grace McGuane. So that is something we've been looking at, and we'll continue to look at what makes the most sense.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Anderson? All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
So I'm going to talk about a bunch of our statistics, and we're calling them key performance indicators, or KPIs, that we monitor in our department. As you know, technology has a lot of different pieces, so this is kind of how our department is laid out. I basically have three main branches of the department that all do specific things. So information service, or the IS team, they basically are the people in the buildings that take care of the teachers and whatnot. I have team leads as well on each of these departments. So on information services, the guy that runs that handles, we've got 6 people now that he manages at that location, at that level. Essentially, it's kind of helping triage. It may escalate a ticket up to the top of the chain, and then he lets these other 2 departments know, hey, we might have a bigger issue. So the network operations team, there's 2 guys on that team that currently handle all of like your servers and internet access and all that kind of stuff. And then management information systems, that team is a team of 3. They handle a lot of our data integrations, data management and whatnot with all of our student systems and things like that as well. Also providing like access to specific things, part of their process. Some quick stats that people may not realize how big we actually are. We watch on a given day our peak amount of devices. This is around our average of 14,000 plus devices on a given day that we see come on and off of our network throughout one day. Not a week, literally one day. That does include all of our student Chromebooks, but it also includes every kid's phone, staff phones, other devices, things like that as well. Throughout all those devices, this is from January to December of 24. Our peak bandwidth we hit was 7 gigabits. So to put that in perspective, most of your homes have like 1 gigabit maybe, and you'll probably never hit that. We hit 7 on occasion. It's quite a bit more. Throughout all of that as well, being a school district, we have a lot of threats that hit us. On a given day, this was our peak, over 1 million, almost 1.5 million. Pretty high, but we do have quite a bit of a web presence as well. But a lot of our security systems and things that I'm always here talking about manages a lot of that stuff. So just kind of wanted to share some of our peaks and things. First slide that I've got for as far as statistics, this is our actual ticket counts per month. So I've got a team of 14 people roughly, that's including me, that we manage tickets with. And you can see, I bet no one can figure out what August is. That's our peak. So generally, we try to adjust major projects and things based on our average ticket loads. I'll know like, okay, maybe March and June, July is when we'll start doing some of our larger stuff just because the ticket load is actually lower at that time. So we can kind of figure out ahead of time where we want to do it. We've actually geared up some stuff even over Christmas break in December there where she kind of comes down a little bit too. So we use that data to kind of plan ahead. If we take that data then, and I take it divided by 14 techs, you can see kind of like our monthly average ticket per person. August again, our peak is 113. Love to get some of these down. I would say our average, like 55, 60, is fairly common from what we've seen in past years. It did obviously go up when we went 1-to-1 with our Chromebooks here, now 10, almost 11 years ago. But it's a lot of stuff to deal with. But we actually then dig a little deeper on this to verify, okay, we've got a lot to do, but are we actually hitting that on-time rate that Sue had asked Mark about as well? We judge ours based on priority as well, so there's like critical, high, medium, low, and we've kind of assigned a time frame that's somewhat acceptable. If you're dealing on a customer level, if it's critical, I want it done now, so you get like an hour or two tops to like find the solution. If it's something that's like a medium, it might be a day or two, or a low, it might be a week. We kind of judge it based on that. And so far, everything that we've got set, we're doing very well. Obviously, August, another dip, but you can tell, like with our previous slides, that's your spike. So we've got a lot to do. Your on-time close rate will fluctuate. But on average this year, we're about a 92, almost 93% average. That's really good. So all of that in mind, we break up all of our tickets based on an incident or a request. So kind of to explain this in a nutshell, incidents are something that's happened, I need to fix it, it's broken, something's wrong, things like that. Requests are, I need a laptop, I need a charger, whatever else. So we kind of break those up to show, okay, are we doing more break-fix type stuff, or are we actually providing things to staff quickly and responsibly fast, So far, we're doing pretty well. We've had, a fluctuation here and there, but on average, this is about where we usually are. I break this down a little further to kind of say, okay, what is actually taking our time? So as you can see, devices/hardware, that actually is Chromebooks, staff laptops, other pieces of tangible tech that people have in their hands. Apps and softwares, kind of like, hey, I need a website unblocked, or I need to put this app on an iPad, whatever else. Network and website stuff, that's actually changed dramatically in the past few years. You guys approved the new wireless upgrade that we did. Has it been 3 years now? That changed dramatically. That was probably closer to like a 10% a few years ago. It's a lot better now because we actually fixed a lot of our issues we had with Wi-Fi. So a lot of our network requests have gone down because of that. Account management is like hiring, letting people go, retirements, things like that, or turning on accounts, off accounts, students moving in, coming out, that kind of thing. We do a lot of back and forth with that. That is quite a bit of a chunk for the MIS team. That's a lot of what they manage. But you can see it's almost a quarter of the amount of overall, so it's quite a bit. Other requests are more like completely random things happen where we actually have to spend a little more time troubleshooting. I like to watch that number because it's stuff that we really haven't accounted for. We use that to kind of plan ahead, like, okay, maybe we need to look at this type of an issue, and why are these coming in? Well, this thing's broken, or we have an issue with something that we can try to focus on. So again, I use a lot of this data to try to plan ahead. This is a graph of requests for changes. Essentially, in the network and management information systems teams, a lot of their work is based on changes. Either there's an issue or someone's requested something, we've had an incident, there's a problem that exists where we need to resolve it. This is how I leverage, this is how much work the teams have downstairs here at this building that are managing the very large scale stuff. So we do, like routine changes, we do minor things. So generally the minor stuff honestly is not bad. That's stuff that we know we're keeping up, like say Windows updates come out every month, that's a minor change. Certain updates to different things in the system, minor change. You can see we did have 2 emergency changes. One, I'm sure you heard about CrowdStrike. That was one of those. We had another one, something to do with some phones, but this year it was literally only 2. So that's really good for us. So overall, that's kind of how I manage the teams as far as things that get assigned and whatnot. Yep.
I'm clueless here.
Yeah.
Is this like 201 last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, 200 minor
Sorry.
changes. Yep. The pending stuff is stuff that we still have to do. So stuff we're planning to do, to roll out a project, things like that. I roll in projects into this as well because, like Mark was saying, some of our stuff could take a day, it could take a week, it could take a month. I throw these in here as well because we try to track all that.
Those are completed.
So some goals. Right now, we're floating around that 92 to 93% for their on-time ticket resolution. I want to bump that to 95 and try to hold it there. I think honestly, if we're able to adjust our dip that we had over summer, that could help a lot. And we've actually done some optimizing to help with that. Like, for example, we're giving staff laptops out now in May instead of doing it when they get back. That saves a ton of time for us because they get their new toy and they're able to get everything prepped before they come back in August. It's helped a lot. So that's one scenario. Our help desk has also helped a lot with us optimizing our Chromebook rollouts. So we literally went from, I don't know, a couple hours of work when we collect senior Chromebooks at the end of the school year down to less than 15 minutes. It's literally just scanning barcodes and swapping stuff out. So it saves us a lot of time trying to optimize. So that helps our on-time rate dramatically. Ticket volume, I have a goal of 5% decrease. It'd be nice to get our tickets down just a little bit, just to kind of help some of the load on some of the teams. That number, very hopeful. I think we can do it based on some of the stuff we're planning to do over the summer and trying to optimize, again, more things. As part of our security compliance stuff, every year I do a security audit, very different ways of doing different systems and different audits that we do every year. But we had some stuff done this year. By March, we'll have everything in place that we need to change. Pretty acceptable goal there. I try to get that done at a minimum every year. We want 100%, but we did 2 actual audits this year for 2 different systems, and it actually added a little bit more work. So staff will see some security change emails come from me recommending certain things for accounts and whatnot, just adding more protections for our staff and students. Our uptime this year, we actually hit 99.9, so that's a 3.9 average. That's really good. I want to try to get to the 4.9s. We're well on the way to that. We actually found some minor math issues in some of our systems that I think we could correct a lot of things based on that too, so it's looking good. A few challenges and opportunities. I'm sure everyone's heard of AI. That is a massive influence on our department, and there's always interdependent systems that are talking to each other as well. A lot of our integrations that we have to make things a little more efficient and also providing information to everyone takes some work on the back end to make things talk to each other. Not everything can speak the same language, so a lot of our MIS team does a lot of work doing just that. Security risks, obviously, that's everyone's usually a top priority as well. Cyber threats are out every day. You can see the 1.4 million we hit on a given day for the peak. So we're always looking at new things that we can try, new systems to test out, and obviously auditing. Just verifying everything works as it should. On top of all that, the dollar amount on everything has just climbed dramatically, and every year it's gone up. So I'm trying to figure out budgets and phasing things and how we're trying to afford what we need to get to keep everything smoothly as we have it right now. The financial piece, I also try to get a lot of grant funding and state type things that I can try to apply for to try to help afford some of these things. I know, like, one example is E-rate. This coming cycle, they're starting to talk about covering cybersecurity things. That could help quite a bit. It's still not official, like what we can get covered yet, but I'm definitely watching. Strengths and successes, there's a pick of the team. So again, 99.9% uptime. We got a very robust infrastructure. This year we've actually hit it pretty good with a lot of our Chromebooks. We've actually rolling out some of these higher level Chromebooks at the 5th through 12th grade and the touchscreen Chromebooks in the elementary, like K through 4. It actually has allowed a little more bandwidth to come up a bit in the building, so the network took it very well. We got a lot of integrated, automated things that happen on our ecosystem, and then obviously my staff, I would not be here without any of them, so it's been a wonderful experience, and we love everything we do. That is it. Any questions?
Could you talk, and this, you touched on a little bit about, but for some of the people that don't know, maybe that are out there listening.
Yeah.
Each school, is it each school that has like a help desk for the Chromebooks, or is it just Rotolo or the high school?
So I have,
How does that work?
I
'Cause
gotta
I
get
know
this
they
right,
can get
there's
help.
the middle school and the high school have their own dedicated.
Right.
I have 6 techs, so I don't have enough to cover every building.
school, okay.
So I have a primary base of JBN and one side of the river, and I believe it's GMS on the other side, or I'm sorry, AGS, I think, AGS.
Yeah.
So we have some rotation that happens to where I'll have like a floater follow the full-time, well, now we're all full-time in the building, so I have one tech that'll either be on one side of the river or the other, as like his primary base for the week. And then we have 3 of our other full-timers that rotate between the middle school, the high school, and the elementary level, just so they get experience in other areas of the department. But that helps us kind of show them like, okay, high school may do it a little bit differently because there's a lot more kids compared to an elementary, but you're managing 6 or 3 and 3. We try to split it to where, especially if you're at the elementary level, I'll have someone on one side of the river, someone on the other, just so we can split that load if there's like an emergency that comes up or something like that.
But there is like, you know, when your Chromebook is down, like
Yeah.
for a child at school, there's
Yep.
ability to get it.
Yep, we've added a really nice enhancement into this Incident IQ that Mark mentioned, our help desk. Teachers can now actually put tickets in on behalf of their kids. So literally, if you're teaching the class and your kid drops their Chromebook, she could put in a ticket that literally says, little Tommy broke his Chromebook. Here's the ticket, it gets assigned, someone will come over and grab it, pick it up, get it sent out, give them a loaner that same day. So they're not out with a Chromebook at all. We get it sent out for the repair under the warranty, and we're done. So the spare pool has honestly helped us as well, because no kid's left without a device. They always have some sort of a device. So
And I appreciate what you said about getting grants, and so I know you've done that on multiple things.
we've been very lucky these past few years, with the Chromebooks especially, but adding cybersecurity to this mix, I'm hopeful, honestly, because that's where the money is so hard to afford good stuff, you know? Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Comment and then a question. So one, just comment on, I like the alignment of your goals to our strategic plan. I think that's key for us to kind of communicate that what we're doing here is really backed up by that strategy plan that we got out there. So I like that.
Thanks.
To our district plan. And then any issues with retention and recruitment of staff?
We've been very lucky, honestly. It's been hard to, you know, sometimes keep them. I've had a few folks in turnover over the past few years, and we had one guy that was working for us before we finally approved the full-time positions. When we got rid of the part-times, that was where it was very difficult. The full-time was a win for us. That has helped dramatically. I haven't had any issues since we've done that.
And so you feel like your department is where it needs to be right now? With
I
staff
think at the building level, it was the biggest need at the time, yeah. I think in the future, we're gonna have to look at some other areas just because of the growth of things and requirements for AI and stuff coming, you know. We'll have to pivot at some point.
I have a question inspired by a 9.5-year-old that I happen to know at HC Storm. Regarding cool math games.
Uh-oh.
Oh, cool math, yeah.
I'm just curious, so Cool Math Games is something that's been available for quite a few years and is now blocked.
Yep.
I'm just wondering how something like that is decided upon, and if there's collaboration with the faculty on things that are historically used by them.
Yeah, so I have a committee we do every week, basically. We review certain apps and things like that. And at one point, we actually went through that website. It was fine, we approved it. We got to the point where now, in recent events, I was getting phone calls from a lot of people, parents, staff, other folks. They had changed their policy on their advertisements. So we had to re-review that as a group. I've talked to curricular folks as well, like trying to figure, okay, they have changed something. Kids are getting very inappropriate ads. I can't control that. They're not blockable. Cool Math Games wants money, so they're trying to make a change here to make you pay for that subscription. So what we ended up doing is blocking it literally due to the ads. They were bad.
Okay.
So that's the main reason.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you for the,
Is that the
That
end of
doesn't mean you
the,
can't do it at
that's the
home
end of
on
the
your own
reports, right?
Yes.
yes.
I just had a general question about it, was, with the goals that everyone was giving, what's the timeline for the goals?
It's annual basis for review and progress monitoring.
So next year, this time?
We'd like to come back in May and June
Okay.
and give that final.
That's what I was kind of wondering, like, if it's
update.
like half year.
Yep.
This is the next half of the goal, okay,
You got it.
thanks.
Any other general comments about the presentations? All right.
So
then-
if I could, just one last thing is I just want to say thanks to our leadership teams on this. I expressed last month, the difficulty in what they've put together is that the state doesn't require any district to report some of the things that these teams have created. And it's, again, to Rob's point, in reaction to making sure we're, in all aspects of our district, living to our strategic plan and holding ourselves accountable, whether it's the teaching and learning side of things. And obviously, you can see the volume of work that they're doing from the operations, facilities, transportation, business side. So I just wanted to say thanks. They've spent a lot of time working on this to develop these kind of data points. That's it.
All right.
So thank you. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you. We'll now move on to item 7, our only action item of the night, Special Education Services IGA. Brad?
Yep. So this is slightly unusual because in this instance, we would be sending a student to an outplacement, but it's at a public facility, in this case, Hinsdale District 86. So it's a high school district in Hinsdale. And as the IEP team is planning for students, they look at what options are available to meet that particular student's needs. Sometimes that's an outplacement, sometimes it's a program within our own schools, or a continuum of services within our own schools. In this case, the IEP team felt that the program that's housed at Hinsdale 86 would be the most appropriate program. So we are we need an intergovernmental agreement with Hinsdale, and then it'll go to their board for approval, and then the student will have access to that program to meet their particular needs. So we typically, in an outplacement situation, are contracting with a private group. In this case, it's just another governmental group.
My only question was the duration. Is it immediately? And is it, because it says with the option for renewal based on student needs, so is there, how often is it we're gonna need to approve it? I just don't wanna, I don't wanna approve it and then cause delay for the child again, because now we have to approve it again. I was just kinda curious what the duration looks like.
It would be, this would be in duration for that particular student's needs, or if we were gonna send another student.
Okay,
it's already-
so it's like indefinite.
Yeah,
Okay.
we just have to have this agreement
Cool.
between
Thank
the
you.
two government bodies.
Okay.
And the student's progress and everything would be reviewed just like every other student on an annual basis to make sure that that particular situation is still meeting their particular education
Okay.
needs.
Thank you.
So if the IP team changed their mind, I wouldn't come back to you and say, he's not there anymore, but that team would make that decision.
And the transportation is worked out.
Yep, I believe that's already worked out, yes.
Any other questions for Dr. Newkirk or comments?
Just one other comment. I love the idea of this. I don't remember seeing anything like this before, so, and I've been here, that we're working with another district to help a student, so.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Thanks for
unique
doing it. I
situation,
like it.
and hopefully.
I don't know what led to it and brought to it, so I mean, maybe there's unfortunate circumstances, but I love the idea that we're collaborating with them, so thanks for doing that.
I agree.
Anyone else? All right, then, I will entertain a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with Hinsdale Township High School, District 86, to provide a BPS student access to specialized education services.
Second.
Who's, Sue, motion, RJ, second. Cindy, will you please call a roll vote?
Bach,
Yes.
Sliger,
Yes.
Gonzalez Thomas,
Yes.
Arlando,
Yes.
Mathis.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes. All right, now we'll move on to section 8, board matters. Tom, will you lead us in this discussion?
Yes, so board, this is a follow-up from December's conversation. Just looking for any general feedback the board might have about how the November and December presentations went. Is there anything that you as a board would like to see changed in delivery, format of presentation? I realize, I wanna say it was the November board meeting with 8 buildings and then a regular agenda. That was a rather longer night for the board. I didn't know, do you want these conversations to be done through, and presentations on a special board meeting that has come up by a couple of individual board members. So I wanted to put the opportunity back out here for you all to have a discussion and give us any feedback, and we'll make note of it. Because we have May and June.
So it's kind of two discussions. One, if we like the reports and the format, and then if we agree, we like where we're headed, when we would have those presentations made, or if they would be a separate meeting or included in a general board meeting. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Well, then I'll open it up to the first question, what people, general thoughts on the reports, good, bad, different format?
I liked them, they're fine.
I like the formats. I think it was good to have them consistent between the different schools.
Sue? Danielle?
No, the formats were good. I think the only hard part, I don't know specifically with November or December, and maybe if we had a special meeting, it'd be a little easier, but there's not really any, it feels really rushed. So like as far as questions or just any like discussions around them, it doesn't, I mean, we get it, and then it's kind of like there's nothing else that we can do with it. Because it really makes the agenda a little heavy. So maybe that's where a special meeting would be good. But the format of like what's presented is nice, and I think with everything else, it'd be nice if we could get anything ahead of time just to kind of look at, kind of like what we've been doing. We got these ahead of time, so it's nice to look at it and just kind of have that if we do want to take a look at it before coming to the meeting.
RJ?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm actually was looking at my notes. I did put down that I think it would be nice to have a deeper reflection on the past and present, meaning like what the school challenge has been over the past years, and then what the future kind of looks like, as opposed to just what was going on during that school year. So if there's some sort of reflection of the past 5 years and what the future looks like. I also thought if there's any information about the PTO involvement to the schools would be nice, along with any parent participation. Let me see. And if not, given the chance before, I'm not sure how it worked out this time, but if possible, to give members of the faculty, facilities, anyone that's working at the school, to give them an opportunity to be aware of the presentation and provide feedback that they have, if there's anything that they feel is necessary that they want the board to be aware of. Otherwise, amazing, excellent, and wonderful.
Are those in your notes? Is that in your
Yeah,
notes?
no matter what the content, I love the relationship that this is building, so.
I like
I would agree a lot with RJ. I mean, I think we talk a lot about transparency, and over the last 3 months, we've kind of had a building level view, a district level view, and now organizational. And so I think that really is how we can communicate transparency. I think one thing I would like is, I'm always looking for context on how, so you say like 97, 98, I'm like, I don't know, is that good, is that bad? I'm always sort of like, we have some peer districts that I know everybody's a little unique, but I'm always kind of wondering like, how are we doing compared to our peers? I want to be the best. We say we are, but let's challenge ourselves to, again, I know it's not always apples to apples, but I'm always sort of interested in that. And then I think to Danielle's point, I do think that this is really important, and we want to give it the importance it deserves. So I know everyone has very busy lives, but I do think, I'm not sure what it would look like, especially when we had all the buildings in. That was a lot. I think at least one of those meetings should be, presentations should be broken out into a separate event, a separate meeting. So then that's the sole focus of the evening. So it has a little more breathing room, because I think at that meeting, I felt like once we got to the end of the lineup, they felt a little rushed, maybe, or people were running out of gas.
Reverse the order the next time, so that,
Yeah.
No, it needs to be two separate.
like, yeah, that way the person who went last can go
right.
first.
Oh, yeah, I think someone made it.
That's why I wasn't there.
Yeah, not to go into.
It's not fair to them.
Really quick, because before, something you guys kind of touched on too is, I do recall that when we were doing, I think it's the presentation you all did, there was one part that I'd asked about if we could get the numbers that were, kind of gave us like the context behind it. I don't know if Holly, I think you were talking about, God, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. we were talking about like, here are the percentages for students, but I wanted to know, you know, is that breakdown, how in like relation to all the students? So when we're saying that like, you know, our Latino students, well, like that percentage, is that 5 Latino students or is that this many? Like, if we can have a little bit more, I guess, I forgot the phrase that was used that day.
I remember
I'm
this.
sorry, I'm asking you to like read my mind.
No, you're not. I remember that. We're talking about like ratios of student population proportionality.
Right,
Is
right,
that what
yes.
I'm hearing, right?
Yeah, because I think sometimes the numbers can be a little misleading, positive and negative, where we're not really sure because, you know, 100% of students, how many of those make up those different classes and like what does that apply to each of those demographics? I will look back at my notes and maybe if you need a follow-up, I can go back to that data and I'll jog my memory. Sorry. Sorry, Aaron, I kind of cut you off.
No, you didn't cut me off. I've always got more comments. I'm sure you've gotten feedback, Mr. Kim, from the people that have given presentations. I'd be curious what you heard. Was it this process, was it beneficial for them to go through it? You know, what was their feedback? Did they like the format? I'm always curious. It's a two-way street here, so we want people to feel comfortable and feel like they have enough bandwidth to tell their story, while also being concise enough that we can understand it, you know. So, have you gotten any feedback?
Yeah, we had some general conversations with everyone, and I think at the end of the day, what I think and what I heard in like the rehearsal, the dress rehearsal we did, and just some of the conversations preparing for the presentations, people were just in general excited to talk about their buildings. I think, you know, having that platform with you and having a member of their SLT be part of that conversation and planning. RJ, to your point, several principals did tell me that they were able to share what they were gonna be pushing out at the board meeting prior to, they did share it with their teams in the buildings. I don't know, I will admit, I don't know if that was done in all 8 buildings. I know a couple of the principals did tell me that that was something they did do so that nobody was caught by surprise when they hit the board. But those presentations, I think people in general were just excited to do it. And, you know, I think what we're all looking for is just feedback on if that was, in general, hitting the mark with some of these feedback points that I've just taken down. You know, we'll work on that, tweak that. That's it. I think the bigger thing will be determining for the board what you want to do. You know, is it just the building night that you would prefer to have a special meeting? Because I think the district night went a little faster when we just did the district overview in December. But that, you know, again, maybe another conversation or some reflection on that, some wait time on it, you know, to the next meeting.
Anyone have any thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with the school night being a separate, I think it needs this.
The buildings.
Its own
The
meeting.
one with the buildings.
I mean, I felt like tonight, I mean, every meeting's its own animal, but this kind of felt like what's in the flow for the 3 presentations. I guess the only other feedback I would have is now that we've got this new strategic plan, when we're creating the presentations, it would be nice to, like, Mr. Arlandu brought up a tie-in to like how these goals, like that's the theme, like this is how it ties into our strategic plan. I mean, I think everybody's getting there, but it's sort of, I have to kind of get hit over the head with it sometimes. So that's like, while we're creating it, the presentations, like that's, the goals are all set to hit that. That's a nice, I think they did it, but just.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there something specific you're thinking about?
No, I'm just sort of saying, I think we did a good job with that, just keep reinforcing
Okay.
that.
All right.
So do you have clear direction on where we're at?
Yeah, so, if I remember correctly, format in general, is solid, good to go. We will need to look for a separate evening between May and June for the buildings to do their presentations, so that there can be a deeper discussion, not be commingled with other business of the district on that evening, yeah? Which then means, I will need to, canvass with the board on a common date, but then also ask our principals and SLTs what might be a good date for all bodies to.
Would admin be able to do theirs the same day, or is that too much? I just felt like it, when I mean, I came.
Oh, like the district?
Yeah,
doing it that
I
night?
came in a little bit late, but it felt like, and again, because we had a lot to get done, I think we had a closed session too. It was very quick, and I don't feel like there was a lot of ability to kind of ask questions and go back and forth.
What do you guys think? Holly, Brad, Tony,
Yeah, Tony, what do you
would we be able to do the buildings and the district on one night if we were doing a special board meeting?
Or
So we
that-
put it all on one night?
Is that still a midnight type of thing?
I wouldn't, but I think that's a lot to like process and digest.
I think it's a lot of information.
It is a lot of information. The other thing I was thinking too is we'd have to be careful about the date because staff typically, when June rolls around.
Say that again, I didn't hear you.
What about? When
No,
June
'cause
rolls
it's near the
around,
end of the
staff
year.
may not be available.
Oh.
When are the new board members sworn in?
April?
So I believe it is the April regular
So
board
you'd have to
meeting.
figure out the meeting after that
So it'd
point,
be
too.
after, so it'd really be kind of an introduction
Yeah.
for anyone who's being newly seated.
Yeah, probably
I
not
think
have a lot of groups in one meeting then.
Yeah, the only
That's
thing
why I was
is,
bringing that up.
like, May's the end of the year, you got graduation and any other type of
That's
end
not
of
a
the year
great time
stuff.
to add
Yeah,
another, there's too many
yeah.
things going on in May.
Yeah,
Don't you think? There's so much, and it seems like every organization that my kids have ever been a part of has their year-end
Wanna do it in July?
celebration.
well, July, like you said, like, you know, they might be going on vacation.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
think
I
we
think
could
you'd
probably
have to-
discuss this, right,
Yeah.
and figure it out. We kind of identified that the buildings we want
I
to
don't
be.
think you need to pick a date right now.
No, I don't think we need to pick a date right now. Is everyone comfortable with that? We'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
but do we still, the district one, do we want to put in with a regular meeting or make a special one for that?
Regular meeting.
It worked fine.
Where they were able.
That was the one we did
I-
in December.
I don't feel like there was a lot of ability to go back and forth, really. I feel like it was a little rushed.
I would say maybe the district one, or, yeah, the district one could maybe be in the summer, like the July, or maybe the August.
Like a slower meeting.
Right,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, because we
A
don't
lighter
really have a
agenda.
lot on the agendas.
That's, yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Where we're not having a closed session, there's not a bunch of action item. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that for sure.
So I have two breakout separate sessions for building and district level, right? Is that what we're saying?
Well, they're saying maybe making sure.
Oh, it's in that meeting when
the
it's a little lighter
district one
agenda.
Is on a summer meeting
Okay.
for sure, so the
Yeah.
agenda's not as full.
We have more
Because
time.
typically our summer board
Yeah.
meetings are lighter.
They are a little lighter, there's less going on.
I mean, given my year and a half here. My
Yeah.
vast experience,
Mine too.
BPS.
Yeah.
All those
I feel
years.
good about that. Is everyone else in agreement with that?
I see all the head nods saying.
Everybody's
yes.
nodding.
So,
We're
all
not
right.
doing a roll call,
So
but
there's
yeah.
a consensus. What I'll do is, start pushing some thoughts on dates for the building version. This will give a chance for Holly, Brad, Tony, myself to talk to our principals as well, to get some feelers from them and get their feedback as well. Cause they'll probably have a good pulse on what their SLT reps can do as well. Okay? And how about this? I will send something back in a weekly update maybe, to the board, or just a separate item, as long as we prepare for a future agenda. We have a little bit of time since it's not like we're talking about next month, so. Right.
All right, we're okay to move on?
Awesome.
All right, then we're gonna move on to 8.2 Vision 2030, and again, I'll hand it off to you, Mr. Kim.
Yeah, so, you have been receiving materials from the Illinois Association of School Boards, and then also some materials that I have been sharing with you. Vision 2030 is an initiative that is being launched by a collaborative of various state associations, such as the Illinois Association for School Administrators, the IASB that I just referenced, the Illinois Principals Association, et cetera, et cetera. Illinois Association for School Business Officials is another big player in supporting this vision work. In Vision 2020 was passed, it was the first time that the state was trying to create a collaborative in moving forward public education initiatives and kind of pillar principles to support public education in Illinois. Vision 2030 is looking to do the same thing, and we'll talk about that now, in that there are 4 overarching themes behind this plan, and the plan is very much aligned to our strategic plan when we break it down. So, taking a look, this is talking about advancing public education in Illinois. The goal is to try and ensure that the plan will meet the future needs of our students as we continue to move forward. And some of the factors in that will be talking about accountability and funding, all right? So if we can move next slide, please. That's just some of the associations that I just referenced. One of the things that we've talked about in my updates to the board has been the mandates that the state of Illinois pushes onto schools. And one of the things that Vision 2030 is looking to do is try and create a system that more cohesively brings those things together so that schools aren't left trying to figure out which initiative ends up pivoting to another, right? Between the last 2 years or a year and a half, school districts have had to respond to 35 new curricular-only based initiatives. And a lot of those have come through the form of a bill that doesn't always talk to each other, and so it feels sometimes really stressful to our systems because they're not necessarily always congruent with what they're asking school districts to do.
No. Sorry.
All right, so one of the things that you constantly heard from CNI presentations, from me, is the overall ability to provide a safe learning environment for students, both from a physical sense, a social emotional sense, but also providing experiences that are preparing them for future exploratory pathways after they leave BPS. The state is broadening the expectations they have on school districts. We are going to be asked, as each year passes us, we are going to be asked to reach to younger and younger grades in preparing them for career exploration and post-secondary exploration and preparation. So an example I'll give you is the Aurora Education Commission and our Pathways to Prosperity work and the Valise group that we belong to. That's our region. And we are looking to help support a region-wide career expo, which would bring in several thousand freshmen from our region together and listen and engage with experts in the fields of different careers, potential college, pathways of study. But in all of that work, this is a huge initiative that the state's requiring. A year and a half ago, you heard Brian Gamlin present to you the state expanding the requirements on career pathway programming here. And so those are some of the things that why Vision 2030 meets the mark on what we're also supporting, because you've seen in our strategic plan, our goal is to try and create a path for every student, right? We want to help students find a path somewhere within the offerings that we have. Go ahead, if you don't mind. The accountability piece is, again, something that we've just probably gone over way more times than you want to hear about, because we just talked about it, is accountability. One of the aspects of Vision 2030 focuses on district's accountability. It also focuses on our school and district report cards and the reform efforts that ISB will be making over the next 2 years to realign our standards for proficiency benchmarking so that we will be matched evenly and fairly against other states. Right now, when the state rolled out its accountability system, they used a different standard than the rest of the states around us. And so part of what Vision 2030 wants to do is realign our measurement system, our accountability systems for school reporting, and that's one of the goals here. I had talked about mandate flexibility and how they're planning on trying to help streamline the work that districts are doing and being responsive to with any of our mandates that come through ISB or through Springfield. All right. And then, as you know, our assessment systems, they are working on trying to create constantly more of a responsive way of giving feedback to districts. And that is the hope that the state has with the switch back to ACT and our move from SAT, along with, IAR and the science assessment. We're trying to ask the state to give us that feedback faster so we can make adjustments. Sometimes we don't get these results until the following school year's already started. All right. I think Tony and his team always do a great job of providing you with annual reports about our budget and where the state of finances are in the state of Illinois. And so I think one of the things that we are looking to do in supporting Vision 2030 is to protect the evidence-based funding formula that has been a part of what Vision 2020 was, and we'd like to make sure that that stays there. It's the fair and equitable lens in funding schools in the state of Illinois. While we may not be one of the biggest recipients of EBF funds, in general, this is a goal of ours to protect for public education. And then, secondly, we do see this as, or I see this as a way to provide traditional funding, but an ability to potentially look at flexible ways of funding schools through other options. And Vision 2030 is a push to continue to do that without always leaning on our traditional levers in Illinois, which would be property taxes, right? So in support of Vision 2030, it gives us some ideas as to how we might be able to pursue some alternative funding for schools in Illinois. Holly, you go ahead and turn to the next page. So one of the things that is also mentioned as part of all this is our ability to retain, and recruit high-quality, highly certified teachers and encourage the growth of our pipeline of future educators, right? So, you know, in our district, we already have our educator preparation and credit program. We want to continue to grow that, and, you know, the state of Illinois is also launching its own initiatives to kind of push and encourage students into the field of education. I don't know if you've seen ISB has spent a huge effort in trying to promote education and promote the idea of students becoming teachers. They have billboard ads up now on the highways. They're doing some digital ads, so they've gone kind of all out and trying to push education as an option career field here in Illinois. All right. That is a really quick primer. I went with, this slide deck was prepared by the associations for all districts to use as a consistent talking point with boards across the state of Illinois. Boards are approving resolutions at their speed of comfort, you know, based on the presentations and discussions they're having. So this is kind of our first opportunity to talk about it publicly. There's no action on it tonight, but eventually, you know, if you have questions, anything here that made you go deeper into some of the resources and materials and you want to talk further about it, I know we as administration would welcome that. And if I've missed anything, Tony, is there anything critical that you'd like to talk about? Tony's been on some of the boards that have reviewed the Vision 2030 work in its development.
No, I think you did a great job of covering it. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. He never gives me that kind of compliments. All right. All right. I know you've had a lot of information again thrown at you. Are there any general questions from the board? Is there?
Would there be, so you were saying, is at some point we're gonna vote something related to Vision 2030?
If the board
What would it be?
is interested in doing that, there is a resolution that these associations are asking school boards to consider passing. It's just a resolution of support. There's nothing that happens financially or anything like that. It's just a matter of a district representing its support for Vision 2030. As a member district of IASB, that's part of why you're receiving those emails, trying to inform board members about what Vision 2030 is.
So I looked at the deck that, you know, on the emails I click here. So I guess my question is how did we do for 2020? Like the state, you know, on that one deck, it said their goals and outcomes. I mean, they didn't really, I guess they didn't really lay out their outcomes very well. I mean, that was, you know, so I don't really know, like, it says that 2020 goals, right? The very first one is highly effective educators. So I guess we didn't meet, the state didn't meet the goals of recruiting and retaining high impact educators. So it's on again for 2030. I mean, I'm just kind of curious if that's true. You know, and I guess if that was their goal and you guys voted on it, how did we do then as a district in maintaining those goals? Like, did we meet those it's it's always like, I understand that's how they wanna do it, but I guess always the question is, well, how do you plan on doing it? Like, how? It's great to have these goals, but how do you plan on doing it?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question.
I know you can't answer it because it's the state, but I mean,
Yeah.
those are just the type of goal, or the questions that I have,
One thing
But
I
I
would
think
say
it's-
to that,
Go ahead, Tony.
if I may,
Yeah, go for it.
yeah, I would just, my experience, I remember being at the Triple I conference, I think it was 2014, when they released Vision 2030. I remember coming down the steps to the escalator to the exhibit hall and seeing the first placards about what Vision 2030 was. And I remember-
2020 or 20?
Vision 2020, excuse me, yeah. It's 2030, 2030. Anyway, I just remember seeing the placards and seeing what they were trying to accomplish in their vision and thinking, oh my gosh, all that stuff makes a lot of sense. And what it did was it became a platform for all 850 school districts around the state to start having a conversation about what was important. Now, they didn't come close to actually actuating everything that was in that vision, but one of the key components of it was, as Tom mentioned, was the evidence-based funding formula. We as a state had a conversation about what equitable funding needed to look like and how to make that happen with the legislature, the General Assembly, so that we could do it. That was the big key piece that we saw come out of Vision 2020. But in terms of your question specifically, in terms of highly qualified educators, if you recall, we were coming off of the Obama era where it was race to the top and a lot of different expectations about what qualified educators and paraprofessionals look like and evaluations and those sorts of things. And we were realizing at that point what worked and what didn't. We were having conversations about what needed to change in the school code so that schools had the right flexibility to meet changing needs. And then, of course, our labor market is completely different now. Like, it's as if the goalposts are always moving, but the takeaway here is that we as a state are having a kind of an intelligent and cohesive conversation about what the issues we face in Illinois are and ways that we can address them. It's gonna be impossible for us to actuate all these things, but there's 850 school districts in the state, and they all theoretically have local control. But the volume of mandates that are being passed, every last straw that is passed, kind of leaches that away. And it makes it harder and harder to meet individual student needs, and we have to have a conversation in the state about what that looks like and what is now and in the future so that we can do our jobs effectively. It's becoming harder and harder to do that with every last bill that passes.
I have a comment. Holly, would it be possible to put that last slide back up on the screen? It's 9, I think it was. The thing that just struck me as I was reviewing this is, right there, key goals, is, and I don't know how this happened, but when I was reading those, I'm like, wow, these really seem like they align with our strategic plan, which sort of happened organically, I believe. So, I think sort of where we're at right now, if this is where the state's at, we're sort of in step with what the state has identified. They want to be us, is what you're saying, probably? But, that was just something that really struck me. I don't know if we have something about enhancing post-secondary success, but the other three, for sure, we're spending a lot of time. Would you agree with that, Rob? Everybody, we worked on that committee together, but, so that made me feel like, well, if everybody, greater minds in the whole state came to this conclusion, it's like, maybe we're on the right track a little bit. I don't know. That was just something that really popped out to me. So I guess my question to you, Mr. Kim, is, where does this discussion go from here?
If the board, we can bring it back to the board meeting in February and ask for authorization of support for the resolution. And you would just vote on that. And that resolution then, what IASB and IASA are asking for is when districts vote in support of the resolution to support Vision 2030, school districts are submitting that on a Google survey form after the vote has been passed by the board.
Do we have any, so is like Tony representing on this committee or this Vision 2030? Like, are you
I had the.
team member?
I had the privilege of participating. In fact, I was working on the accountability work group, so I wasn't working on the whole plan, but I was assigned to accountability, and we had some pretty intense conversations about what accountability looks like now and what it probably should look like so that we can better meet the needs of students.
And you'll continue that on going
Well,
forward?
the hope is that as we're bringing this work product to school boards and all the stakeholders across the state, that we can have a more cohesive conversation about what the issues we face are and how we might address them, particularly from a policy standpoint. So there are a lot of interests that are at play, and there's a lot at stake. And, you know, like my comments earlier, it isn't that any one of the changes that the General Assembly makes is bad. They're all good and very well intentioned. It's just, you know, we have to have, it's not just necessarily about control. It's about making sure that all the pieces work together so that the kids get the very best product that we can offer to them.
I think the big thing too is that, just so you know, it wasn't too long ago when it was common for the state of Illinois to be behind on its checks to school districts. Right? Vision 2020 and now Vision 2030 is advocating for the state to continue funding on the front end public education in the state of Illinois. And to me, that, from our organizational level, that's one of the big pillars that we should be continually pushing for from a state. You know, we're part of that collective state. And I say that's kind of one of the big things we ought to be advocating for, so that we have the ability to continue to do what we do. I'm sorry, Raquel, you were gonna say
Yeah,
something.
that's a quick question. So out of the four, you know, even the 2020 goals or these goals, do they try to work at them together? Or do they say, okay, this, right now, we're gonna tackle keeping kids safe, and let's get that done? And then they move on? Or is it just like, okay, we're gonna try to tackle all of them at the same time?
Yeah, there isn't an action plan. This is more along the lines of a kind of a vision statement to say, here are the issues and here's what we see as being some potential solutions. Now we need to work together as stakeholders across the state to find something that works for all of us. And some of this is serendipitous, like there might be a particular issue that might engender a certain conversation with the General Assembly, or others are, you know, the state's economy, and it's changing. They're looking at massive deficits for the upcoming fiscal year here in Illinois, and that's gonna have a profound effect, not just on education, but on all services the state offers, and what is going to be the priority and what pieces need to move. Pensions are becoming more and more of an issue that are chewing away at that deficit and the state budget. How are we gonna address that? You know, what do we need to do so that we are putting all of our dollars at its maximum effect, especially for students, but health and human services and, you know, Medicare and all the rest of the services that the state of Illinois is, roads, it's an endless list. What's gonna produce the best common good, public good?
Yeah, I just reiterate, I just think it's pretty cool that we have someone from our district that's involved in this process, so.
All right, so can you just reiterate, Mr. Kim, again, what the next step is on this?
So is there a consensus for the board, from the board, excuse me, that we bring this back to you at the February board meeting for a potential action of support of Vision 2030?
That's my feedback.
Yes.
Okay, all right, great, thank you. So we'll put that on the agenda for February, for action. Okay.
All right, then we'll move on to the next section of the agenda, 9. I've noticed that usually Mr. Kim gives his comments first and the board speaks, but you know what? I think we'll keep it as is, so Mr. Kim can finally get the last word. So, Sue, nothing? Carl, on you?
What?
Nothing.
If you have nothing to say, Pat, move along, let's go.
Let's go. Just one quick comment. It seems like it's ages ago, but it was about almost a month ago, December 20th. But did have an opportunity to go to Grace McWayne, and actually Tom and I both had the opportunity to go to Grace McWayne, participate in their 4th grade charity carnival. Mrs. Barrett's sitting back there. Miss Anderson, they put on a great event. It was very well organized and executed, I'll say. Tom taught me a couple lessons on axe throwing, I think, so.
Axe throwing.
But it was a great event, and main point though is they raised a lot of money for specific charities. I know Special Olympics, I forget the other two, but it was a great event for that, and the kids, as they won contests, these games, they were able to put it into one of 3 buckets, 3 different charities, and then that money obviously went to those charities. So it was a great event. We did also have a chance to talk, Tom and I both talked to a student, Lexi Cams, and she gave us a little bit of explanation of her involvement when she was in 4th grade. She's currently a freshman, I believe, in high school. And Miss Anderson had us talk to her, and she explained how she started getting involved with Ronald McDonald House, and this was part of this event, and just a great example of a student, doing some good within our district. So shout out to her for that work. That's it. Thank you.
I don't have anything, just welcome back, even though it's been a few weeks, and I hope everyone stays warm and safe.
Just want to give recognition and thank you to all the facilities team members that made sure our schools were ready for today. I know there's a lot of work and extra hours, so thank you, Mark, to you and your team for doing that. If there's anything that I think is important, is that the students have a place to be. It's warm, safe, and dry, so thank you. And then to you 3, thank you for those reports. It was really great. I appreciate the deeper insight to what you all have going on, so thank you for putting that together. That's it.
Yep.
I definitely echo that. Thank you, guys. You did a great job, and it was nice and informative and a nice little package so we can understand it, so I appreciate it. I guess like on a little bit more of a serious note, I just want to recognize the speakers who came out today, and it's kind of hard to show up when there's a lot going on, a lot of uncertainty, and I guess I just want to say that every student really does matter. We see you in different ways, and I know that we have a lot of work that we need to continue to do. But I don't know, I just want to take this space to recognize that, I mean, the LGBTQ plus hotline, crisis lines had more calls, I think, than any other day. We have a lot of people with different immigration statuses that are coming into our schools. Their families are here, and the kids are showing up, and it's really a hard place. And I just feel that we're going to have some hard discussions that are going to come up, but I think that we can handle them together. I just kind of want to recognize our diverse students and just recognize everybody, and I just hope that everyone is safe, and I am grateful for our warm, safe dry so that people have a place to come to, regardless of what's going on. But, you have a board that is, I think, committed to all of our students and everyone's safety. And like I said, we have work to do, but I think in all, we recognize that every single person and every single situation matters. So, I don't know, that's just kind of sad with me, so. Yeah.
All right, I don't have too much to add for once, but I do want to thank everyone who came and participated for sharing their voice. It's important. Our BEA partners for speaking. Again, their reports, outstanding. Thank you for that. I do want to again thank, not only on the days when it's cold out, but I'm an early riser, and I see the people out getting ready to be open for business. And also I want to recognize people in the community if they're on a route where kids are walking, the people that take the time to shovel and de-ice and make sure that everyone can get there safe. That's kind of a community effort to make sure that we all can get them home and there and back safely. And then I'll just share one personal story. I got a chance to participate in an event at HC Storm. I got to go in and read for some students, and I didn't really know what class I would be or who would be, what grade level, and I went in and I found out that the class I went into was Jody Bird, who was my daughter, who's now a freshman in college, was her kindergarten teacher. and I think she's still a kindergarten teacher, maybe first grade, I'm forgetting, but, we had like kind of a moment like, oh, but what was really great was like, she's like exactly the same energy that she had, and, so that was really kind of like a full circle moment to see her doing her thing and see her still just as passionate. She was, I won't say how many years it's been, but, a while. So that was it was great to reconnect with her and, again, to see like whatever we're doing in our culture, for someone that's got a little bit of tenure to still have that enthusiasm with that age group, was pretty cool to witness. So I was appreciative of that opportunity. So with that, I think, does anyone have any else? Everyone's got their word in. We'll let Mr. Kim get the final say.
All right, good. All right, here we go. 12 pages. As we return from break and dive into the remainder of our school year, I wanted to take a moment to reflect and share some gratitude. Once again, I wanted to thank the Fine Arts and Music Department and the BFAC team for hosting such a remarkable musical experience that led us into winter break. I thought the event was truly inspiring, and I know it left a lasting impression on everyone who was able to watch that concert, both from the recording or in person. Want to also thank all of our families who so graciously hosted over 150 people, our guests from Tokyo. Your kindness and effort made their visit not only possible, but very meaningful. The conversations and friendships that were created over such a short time was no small feat and truly showcased the generosity and warmth of our community. So as we begin the new year, we're presented with countless opportunities to continue growing and improving together. I would agree with that sentiment that, we have the ability to do a lot of great things and do things for our students, and that work is lying ahead of us. The work is being done within our district committees, and I believe that is a testament to our shared commitment to excellence and collaboration, and I'm confident that we are going to continue making strides towards meaningful progress. So recently, I've been asked several times about my thoughts about the future of public education, and what does, a changing of the guard in our administration for our country look like. I've been thinking a lot about tonight's discussion and presentation surrounding the guiding principles of Vision 2030, and to me, it serves as a powerful North Star for our work. I agree that I think it aligns beautifully with our strategic plan and helping us focus on what matters most, the success and well-being of all 5,300 of our students. At the core of it, that's what we're here for. So to close, in thinking about the future of our students and given the importance of our holiday weekend that we observed this weekend, I'm reminded of a quote that's shared in honor of Dr. King, which was also shared this evening. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. I believe firmly that if we continue to instill hope in our students and help them recognize their own inherent value, they will not only see the light within themselves, but I also believe that their light will shine into others. I think together we can create an environment in this district where every student feels inspired to love what they do, grow in their own journeys, and support one another. So with that, I'm looking forward to the work we're going to tackle this year, and that's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kim, for those words. So now we move on to the last item, 10.1, motion to adjourn for closed session. Well, I got to read my little paragraph here. I like the enthusiasm, though. The board will go into closed session. We do not have any action items after the closed session, but the people in attendance, you are welcome to stay here if you like. If you decide to leave, we want to thank you for coming out this evening. The time is now 9:28, and we will entertain a motion to move to a closed session as allowed under the Open Meetings Act for the purpose of exceptions 5 ILS 120-2 C1 and C2.
So moved. Second.
So motion by Raquel, seconded by RJ. Cindy, will you please call a roll call vote?
Arlandu,
Yes.
Gonzalez Thomas,
Yes.
Liger,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Locke,
Yes.
Mathis,
Yes.